Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Unscripted Coding. I'm really excited to share this one because I've been playing around with this app called Mental Canvas for a little bit now, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around it, but it is really cool. Um, I stumbled upon this by chance. I know that's available on the Microsoft Surface, but I have here my iPad because obviously there is an iPad version as well that we're going to try here today. Um, I don't think I'm going to do a great job of, drawing a masterpiece anyways. So, we're just going to take a quick look at this video so you can see what it is, what you can actually achieve with this. Okay, so that's probably enough of a glance to figure it out. We're not going to draw anything near as nice as this kind of downtown street section. Um, but really what it is allowing you to draw a 3D landscape, something in 3D with very little, what do you call it, kind of sophistication. It is, and playing around with it a little bit, you have the ability to draw many layers and place them on different places on the image. And that's the trick. You get a 3D image because you can see your layers and place them in different places. The closest thing I remember of something like this is actually a drawing app on the Nintendo 3DS. I can't imagine it being super popular, but there was quite a few people who used it. In short, the Nintendo 3DS, the killer feature was 3D. You can look at the screen. It had a parallax screen so that you can see things pop out of the image. And Colors 3D is kind of your run-of-the-mill drawing application. You have, different brushes, different colors, whatever, and you drew on the touch screen on the Nintendo 3DS. But what was really cool is that you have these layers. Just like in Photoshop, you have them one on top of each other, but what Colors did is it put a bit of a gap between each of the layers. So you have a foreground, a midground, and a background just based on what you're seeing. They are not all immediately stacked on top of each other. That's probably really hard to explain, but let me just pull up my iPad screen so that we can talk about what this means. So this example right here, foreground, midground, background is what I'm trying to say. If you have them stacked one on top of each other, let's go with this one right here. Oops. What you can do is draw something and get a sense of 3 dimensions. So, this is going to be a really bad example, but in the foreground, what's closest to you as a viewer, let's just draw, say, a snowman. Okay. Top hat. Okay. Let's just give him 2 hands as well. Okay, your midground, you're moving into the image a little bit. And we can draw something like a tree in the middle of the screen. Here. And branches. I assume it's winter, so the branches have to be kind of dead and leafless. Something like that. And then in the very background, let's just get rid of these. I probably should have started in the background. We have, say, mountains. Okay, and then we can see the other layers. And what happens is, because they're stacked one on top of each other with just a bit distance in between them, you get the sense of 3 dimensions. And that was what colors did. What I think, well, what Mental Canvas does is, you don't just have the simplicity. You don't have just 3 layers stacked on top of each other. You have a control. You have the control of changing the gaps. So, for example, in this case, I want something way, way, way in the distance in the back here. That's probably where I should be drawing the mountains, so mountains. And where I drew the mountains, let's get rid of that. Since it's so much closer to a viewer, this is where I might want to draw, the house. Complete with a smoking chimney. Now, what's cool is if you use a camera, you can kind of pivot it, see how it looks in relation, and that's where the 3D effect is coming in. And I suppose I could have pushed the mountains even further into distance. But it's not just that simple. What you can do is actually create yet another canvas. So I'm going to create another one. This time closer to us. Okay, and what this button does is you can actually change the angle of that that layer, that canvas. So I'm going to go up here, and the idea is I want to pivot it upwards. So in this case, what I want to do is something like this. Okay, so it is perpendicular to the scene. And I'm going to add another one just to make it further up in the distance. So now you can see its relation. And what I can do is move it up and down versus just in and out. So over here, what I'm going to do is put something over here, and we're going to draw clouds. I don't know how clouds look like when they're flat up, but let's say like this. Okay, and what we're going to do is take a look at the camera. We want to spin it this way. Oh. And you can see the clouds are up in the sky. And that's all Mental Canvas is. You get what I'm going to keep calling layers. They call them canvases, but they're letting you situate where your layer is in that image. And so you can see the clouds. They're all perfectly flat, but you can draw something like that. I am gonna stop talking and see if I can draw something a little denser in the next couple minutes. Okay, so I think we're about a half hour in, and I think I'm gonna call it quits at this point. In case you couldn't tell, let me just show you the photo reference I was looking at. It is the British Museum Egyptian collection. So, here, let's just take a look at that. See the ceilings, the floor, whatever, the pillars on the side, the statues in the front. There we go. And if you take a look here, what we've done is we've drawn multiple layers. So of course you have the left and the right columns, but they have also been, we have also moved forward a little bit to put some exhibits on the side. So for example, over here, we have a shelf. Out of the way. We have a shelf in front of the pillar. So you can see, if I move it this way, that they are on slightly different layers. See that? Okay, and then of course we have the ceiling, which is very poorly done, and also the floor. I'll have to get used to these controls, but there's the floor. If we move into the gallery, you know, you can see that there are the statues, there's a set of shelves, there's a stone statue at the back. There's even and I probably shouldn't have done it in white, but there is a doorway so that, you know, if you go above here, you can't see the top of the head. You know, this was a half hour worth of work. If you were to try and do this in kind of a 3D environment, I would think it would take a lot longer than that. Obviously, it's very rough. You can see none of these lines are straight in terms of the columns. I can probably do a lot more polishing and so on, but you know, you get a very simple idea of how this room is supposed to look like. I'm sure there's a lot of tricks into how you can make this look good. So over here, I am placing myself at the entrance, but if I move up, it looks a bit weird. You know, it's meant to look this way. But you can imagine if we have, say, windows on the side over here, that we might see outside the scenery, just, you know, if you draw a landscape or something in the background. Yeah, I think that's about it. It's a very cool tool, and as someone who hasn't played around with this a ton, that's still trying to learn, you know, I'm very happy with the result. I can definitely draw better, I can definitely plan this better, but you know, where else are you going to be able to build something like that in I think less than a half hour? The things to note though is that this app has very rudimentary tools. So if you look at, you know, the brushes you get, ooh, I probably should use a pencil brush. I like pencil brushes. But you don't get, you know, 1,000 options like in Photoshop. You don't get, you know, blurs and filters and so on. So you're never going to have a very polished piece. These statues that are in the front here, you know, they look pixelated, they're badly drawn, but you're never going to have a really beautiful piece right here just because of the tools available. Everything's very basic, and I think the idea really is you have a canvas, you play with it, and you draw something fairly rough. And you saw that even in the demo video that none of them were particularly, you know, straight lines, super polished. These ones are all kind of rough ideas sketched out. But I love tools like this. I just love the idea. You get to put your canvas, you get to put your layer basically anywhere on the page, and you can have so many ideas. And I just love tools like this because you can play around with it. You just wouldn't have been able to do this with just pen and paper. So, I think this one is very much worth trying. Mental Canvas. You can take a look. There is a free promo plan that you can get, and you know it looks pretty full-featured to me. So, do check out Mental Canvas. I have it in the link in the descriptions. If you enjoy these videos that are less programmy, more kind of artsy designy, leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your feedback. If you didn't like it, also leave a comment below because I need to know if we want to stick with, you know, all programming, all algorithms and things like that. Anyways, I really enjoyed myself. I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. See you guys next time in the next Unscripted Coding.